Hello. I did my media project on The Picture of Dorian Gray, a awesome novel by Oscar Wilde. So my media product is a skating video. It was skated, choreographed, and edited by me, but the music is not by me. It is by Prokaryov, and it's played by the London Symphony Orchestra. So let's just take a quick look at the video. And yeah. So one major theme in the text is superficiality and the purpose of art, and this theme kind of governs a lot of the actions of the characters in the novel, so it's really important that I emphasize it now. So basically, Oscar Wilde was a major proponent of the aestheticism movement, which sought to remove art's responsibility as a tool for social and moral enlightenment. The aestheticism movement also emphasized foregoing personal morality as a means to focus on one's pleasure and beauty. For those who adhere to aestheticism, the ideal life is one that mirrors meaningless and beautiful art. The aestheticist's mindset is embraced by many of the characters in The Picture of Dorian Gray. However, oddly, the two major pieces of art in the novel, Dorian's portrait and the Yellow Book, both serve a major purpose. The portrait acts as a reflection of Dorian's soul, and the book acts as a moral guide. Rather, is Dorian himself that becomes purely aesthetic in nature. He has never done anything, never carved a statue or painted a picture or produced anything outside of himself. Life has been his art. However, by living this way, life has suddenly become too hideous a burden for Dorian to bear. Oscar Wilde likely wrote The Picture of Dorian Gray, a literary work of art, to help convey the essence and downfalls of aestheticism. This directly contradicts his claim in the preface that all art is quite useless. So on the most basic level, my media product is very similar to Oscar Wilde's The Picture of Dorian Gray in that it has a purpose. Now, Wilde's book enables readers to explore aestheticism and morality, while my media product seeks to deepen one's understanding of the novel. All right, next we're going to be looking at some major symbols and motifs that I have included in my media project that relate to the novel. So the picture of Dorian Gray is perhaps the biggest symbol in the book, and it is a symbol of Dorian's descent from innocence to corruption. So essentially, the portrait goes from a full-length portrait of a young man of extraordinary personal beauty to a hideous face on the canvas, and this is because the portrait is a mirror to Dorian's soul, and after Dorian sells his soul to eternal kind of youth and beauty, Dorian then descends into corruption, and this kind of comes from Dorian trying to live his life according to principles central to aestheticism, such as achieving pleasure, and although Dorian's lifestyle might not impact his appearance, his soul, which is reflected in the painting, becomes very loathsome and corrupt and ugly. So kind of like Dorian's portrait, the video is meant to symbolize Dorian's descent from innocence to corruption. However, unlike a stagnant picture, which was a medium that I did not choose, videos can show change over time, and that's kind of why I chose video as my medium for this project. And also, a video being primarily a visual medium helps to emphasize superficial qualities, just as the portrait did. And then one of the kind of ways I emphasized this descent from innocence to corruption, just as the portrait did, was in my choreography. So although this choreography remains superficially beautiful, like Dorian, the skater's actions transition from gentle to sharp and violent. The music the skater skates to is initially pleasant with a strong tone of innocence. However, the music soon changes and becomes darker and more frantic. In color, the predominant color at the beginning of the video is white, signifying purity. However, as the skater's actions become increasingly violent and unhinged, their surroundings darken. And so basically, my media goes from a bright, delicate, and pleasant piece of choreography to a dark and violent display of turmoil, which is kind of mirrors both the purpose and the journey that Dorian's own portrait went through in the novel. Here are just some photos so you can kind of see more clearly my use of color and choreography within my media project to kind of symbolize a descent from innocence to corruption. Yeah, more into depth on color because it is a really kind of major symbol in the novel. So Dorian's trajectory from figure of innocence to figure of degradation is charted by Wilde's use of color, and it can also be seen in my skating video. White signifies innocence. When Dorian is first introduced, it is the white purity of Dorian's boyhood that Lord Henry finds so captivating. This is signified in the video as both skater and surroundings are white. Basil, the artist, also uses whiteness when he sees Dorian's degraded portrait and learns that Dorian has sacrificed his soul and innocence. Basil quotes a biblical verse from the book of Isaiah, "Though your sins be as scarlet, yet I will make them white as snow." Although Dorian's soul is in turmoil, his appearance remains fair, thanks in part to Basil's painting. Like Dorian, the skater's appearance remains ivory, white shirt. However, the skater's surroundings, symbolizing Dorian's soul and actions, gradually darken. When Dorian orders flowers, he demands as few white ones as possible. At this point in the novel, Dorian is responsible for the corruption and death of several people, and he gives up on trying to live a life of goodness and meaning. Dorian's relent to immorality is signified by the gradual darkening of the video and the inability of the skater to find light once again. At the end of the novel, Dorian's hope for a rose-white boyhood is in vain, and he proves unable to wash away the stains of his sins. At the end of the novel, out of the black cave of time, terrible and swathed in scarlet, rose the dark image of Dorian's sins. Seeing this in a fit of fury, Dorian kills himself, forever condemning himself to darkness. Like Dorian, the skater in the video sees that they are shrouded in darkness and consequently literally spin out of control into darkness and oblivion. So in the novel, the Yellow Book is a major symbol of corruption and the negative consequences of influence. So Lord Henry, a man with questionable morals, who also touts the aestheticism movement, gives Dorian the book. Lord Henry finds something terribly enthralling in the exercise of influence, especially when he is influencing Dorian. And the book is described as a novel that charts the uninhibited and immoral experiences of a pleasure-seeking protagonist. And Dorian uses the novel as a sort of doctrine and consequently believes that the acts of corruption and even murder are acceptable if they contribute to his own superficial pleasure. And so throughout the video, the skater raises their hands as if looking at a book. And after looking at the book, the skater's actions become increasingly violent, and the skater's music and surroundings gradually darken, signifying corruption. Additionally, after reading the book, the skater's body doubles, signifying the disconnect and conflict between Dorian's morals and his learned corruption. And one of my favorite quotes from the novel is, "Yet you poisoned me with a book once." And this is what Dorian says to Lord Henry after he is wanting to redeem himself after many, many years of corruption that he is all of a sudden feeling very guilty of. So another major symbol/character in the play is Sybil Vane. So a major turning point in the novel is when Dorian decides that he no longer loves the actress Sybil Vane. Dorian initially loved her because she was a beautiful and talented actress. However, after Sybil comes to the realization that acting is only superficial compared to her love for Dorian, she no longer can act convincingly. And Dorian, focused on superficial qualities, such as one's closeness to art, explains to Sybil how little can know of love if you say that it mars your art. Without art, you are nothing. After Sybil's suicide, which she commits after Dorian breaks her heart, Henry and Dorian reduce her to an actress who never really lived. And even after witnessing the tragic death of his first love, Dorian's disregard for Sybil's life and emotions and ability to superficially reduce her to nothing more than a beautiful and talented actress really emphasizes how focused on aesthetics he was and how superficial he was. And it's thus fitting that Romeo and Juliet, which is the play that Sybil acted in, is the soundtrack to my media project, as Dorian's aesthetics-oriented attitude can be attributed to his corruption and downfall in the novel. I'm just going to talk a bit about my media choices. So in relation to the text, I wanted to pick a medium that could show degradation over time, as the picture of Dorian Gray follows the corruption of Dorian Gray as he pursues entirely aesthetic pleasures. And then, like Dorian's portrait of video is a visual medium, helping emphasize the importance of superficial qualities in the book. And then another reason why I chose a skating video in relation to the text was that for those who adhere to aestheticism, the ideal life is one that mirrors meaningless and beautiful art. And then, like Dorian's, whose life has been his art, I myself became a piece of art while skating for this media project. And then in relation to my target audience, I picked my target audience to be both people who had read the picture of Dorian Gray and my teenage classmates. So as seen by the rise of YouTube and TikTok, short videos are very popular amongst my generation. And additionally, due to the pandemic, my medium needed to be something that I could share digitally. So the combination of both the popularity of videos amongst my generation and the need to share something digitally made video a really good choice for a medium. And then as someone with ample skating and video editing experience, a medium that enabled me to do both also allowed me to effectively insert more symbolism and thus more understanding into my final media project. This would greatly improve the viewing experience for those who have read the novel, as they can better relate the two pieces of art, and that's kind of why I chose these types of media. And then finally, I'm done my presentation. Here's my lovely works cited page, and thank you for watching.